CEO series. So you can do anything, but you can't do everything. I'm going to say that one more time. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So, one of the things that's really huge for me, and one of the things that I often do as it relates to my purpose and my alignment with clients, is encourage and empower them in the area of belief. So I want you to understand that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Most CEOs are attempting to do everything. Now, CEO is something that we see on a lot of the titles on Instagram and Facebook and on memes and graphics and things like that. We see the letters CEO. But what does that really mean? When you first open your business, there is a likelihood that you did everything. You marketed the business, you came up with the ideas, you booked the clients, you scheduled the events, you did the marketing, you actually provided a service in the business as well. I mean, literally all the things. But there comes a time and point in your business where your business no longer functions at the level that it should if you're the only person doing everything. When I stepped into being self-employed, I knew that I wanted to grow. I knew that as a single operator, there was but so much that I could do. There was but so much of the six-figure realm that I could reach without needing help. It is the reason why I stepped into becoming a business owner. Now, that word has been misconstrued quite a bit in the entrepreneurial perspective because a business owner has employees. A business owner is creating a business that can operate without them actually being the person that's trading the time for dollars. So I knew this before I opened my brick and mortar service-based business. So of course, there was a strong desire or intention to hire. And I did just that. But what I ran into my first maybe year and a half of hiring really changed the trajectory of everything that I did in my business. So I owned a brick and mortar service-based business for a decade prior to coaching and consulting for entrepreneurs just like you, service-based business owners, coaches, creatives. When I first opened my business and began hiring, I was saying things like, these people don't want to work, this new generation, all the things. And one day I had an epiphany. I had a download that I was the person that was hiring these people. And so it changed everything about how I did business. And I learned to hire differently. I knew, as I stated before, was that I can't do all of these things with a spirit of excellence doing it alone. Now, I'm a systems girl, so everything that was being created just kind of made sense to me. I even remember having this conversation with God, like, why am I creating all these systems? Why am I developing all of this stuff? Little did I know that I would step into becoming a coach and consultant for people who were previously in a position just like myself, and these things would come in handy. Not only would it come in handy for those that I was servicing, but also for me in my new business, Renew Full Circle Consulting, my business that I was running myself. What I find with most CEOs is a difficulty to lessen the control that they have in their business. And I completely understand it, because the way that you built your business, right? And so you have this specific way that you want things done. And sometimes there's a thought that no one else can do it the way that you do it. And that's 100% true. So one of the mindset shifts that you have to make is that you're not looking for someone who can do it exactly the way that you do it. You're looking for someone who can do it efficiently so that the business continues to move forward. And I want to take a moment and, read a job description for a CEO. because my goal for this particular training is to give you a visual of who the CEO really is so that you can get an alignment to operate in that position. So, number one, the CEO directs the company in keeping with the vision. Now, this is where the first error is in most businesses. And this is something I've stated for many, many years. Most CEOs or business owners don't have a vision for their company. They don't have a vision for their company. Now, if you follow me, you know I'm a big vision girl. The first like seminar or class I began giving, even before I took on the title of being a coach and consultant, the first class that people outside of the business that I was building hired me to come and teach. The first workshop was on vision, because without vision, people do perish. It's like if you don't know the direction in which your company is going to head, the big picture for your company, then everything else that falls under that is kind of random, by happen chance. You know, there is no direction. And so I'll read that again. The first thing that the CEO does, you find that here, is directs the company in keeping with the vision. Vision was so important for me in my brick and mortar service-based business. So throughout that decade, I hired a team of 12 people. These were employees. Now I had contracted help as well, but the bulk of my business were those 12 employees when we were fully staffed. And it was huge, a part of me, as I didn't even have the title CEO. So let me just share that with you all. I never had business owner, CEO, none of that on my business cards. I actually had creative director. That's for a whole nother broadcast. But in order for me to get the people I was hiring in alignment with what we were doing, I needed a vision. I needed to be able to talk about the vision of the company, where we were heading. It impacted every step that I made in my company. Let me continue to read further. So the CEO partners with high-level officers to grow the company, strengthen it, and ensure its sustainability. It represents the company as required, including attendance of important functions, industry events, public meetings. This is when you are really stepping into the visionary position of your company, when you have freed up some of your time from all of those tasks where you're doing everything, where you can actually scale the business, where you can actually operate in your wheelhouse, in your superpowers, in what it is that you're great at that's going to move the business further. So there are a couple things that when I'm thinking about or working with CEOs, and people think this is trivial, but it's so huge. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your particular superpowers are and what you do that generates the most revenue from your wheelhouse in order to move forward. You need to know that for hiring, what type of leader you are, all of the things. But many people have the title CEO, but they don't have the full understanding of what that means and what that looks like. And so they continue to attempt to do everything in their business. There are people earning multiple six figures. I've worked with people whose business earns $1 million who struggle with really moving into the true position of what a CEO is. So my question for you today is, what is your biggest fear about bringing people on your team or properly stepping into the role of being a true visionary for your company? This position is huge. One, it allows you a new level of time freedom. It allows you a new level of certainty, and it allows you a new level of creativity. What most people do when they open their business is they're in reactive mode. They're constantly putting out fires because there is no real vision for the company. It's kind of like, oh, I have this idea, I'm going to do this. And so everything connected to that is kind of random as well. And so my first message to you in the CEO series is to let you know that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. What are you afraid to let go of? As you're moving more into the true role of being a CEO of your business, what is it that you're afraid of letting go of? Most people are saying, no one else can do it like me. Listen, when I learned to hire differently, which was a series of things that I needed to do in order to get in alignment with being a great leader, everything in my business changed. I had best running consistent staff for about 4 years straight. Like they just stayed on with me and helped the company to grow because I got really clear on hiring. I didn't go in it feeling like I was the only one that could do everything. I didn't even want to do everything. I had done everything for many years prior to that as a self-employed person who was trading my time for dollars, who had pretty much hit the income cap that I could hit for what I knew at that time on my own. Actually, I had hit what I wanted to hit on my own. I didn't want any more responsibilities. And what most business owners do is they actually open the business and create a new job for themselves. They're not really getting the time freedom that they truly desire. So you got to ask yourself, what is it that I fear about letting some things go, some of those responsibilities and things that you are currently doing? I hope this has blessed you. I used to offer team building and things like that inside my exceptional mastermind. But one of the things I understand is that team building, culture, operations, SOPs, the whole structure, operational structure of a business was bigger than just including it in another program. And so the ways that I work with CEOs on their SOPs, their standard operational procedures, is privately. So that is through VIP opportunities. I do a growth VIP day where you spend 5 to 7 hours with me. I'll put that link in the comment. And I also do a next level new strategy session that's about a 60-day time to work with me. But your position as the CEO is how the company moves forward. And for today, I want to ask you, what is it that you're afraid to let go of? You can do anything, but you can't do everything. You can't grow the business in a sustainable way, doing it on your own, and also not creating the proper systems in your business, because we don't manage people, we actually manage systems. CEOs struggle with finding the time to do the systems. One of the advantages of working with me is I've created the systems and we tweak them according to how your business is run. Of course, there'll be some systems that I will create for you while we're working together, but some of those foundational systems are just resources that I've already created that we tweak according to your company. Most CEOs are afraid to even slow down long enough to, build that operational system for their business. Now, many think that getting more clients is what they need, or, bringing on new people. But if you haven't developed the systems, you're looking to crash and burn, especially if you're wanting to bring in more people and the systems aren't functioning and flowing. You want to have a healthy quality of life as a CEO as well. Remember, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You want to have a healthy business. A healthy business is one that runs like a well-oiled machine. And last but not least, you want to have a healthy bank account. You can continue to earn more money, but if your standard operational procedures and what's going on behind the scenes is out of alignment, what this looks like is someone earning $250K in their business and then their profit was $30,000. What this looks like is someone earning $1 million in their business and their profit was barely 6 figures, right? And so there's a point where you have to start looking at the things behind the scene so that you can produce at the rate that you want to produce in your business, less your effort. You can do anything, but you can't do everything.